I don't think the Sony ZV-E1 is gonna do very well. And today I wanna talk about why. It's a cool camera with a bad name. First there was a Sony ZV-E1. That's the point and shoot one that fits in your pocket. Then there's the ZV-E10, which is a vlogging camera that's crop sensor. And now they have the ZV-E1, which is the full frame version. This is a really cool camera, but I'm not gonna get one for a few reasons. Number one, and the most important, I think, is the price. This body alone costs $3,000 plus tax. So if you buy with the body alone, then you're gonna need a lens. What's a good vlogging lens? The Sony 20mm f1.8? That lens new costs $1,200 as well. Would any content creator, even if this is a great camera, honestly tell somebody who's just getting started, buy this camera for $3,000, get the Sony 20mm lens, that's $1,200. After tax, that's $4,700 after tax Canadian. I don't care how good this thing is. $5,000 for a body and a lens for a new creator? If you really want to get that full frame and you don't know what you're doing, a camera like this appeals to you, get something like a used Sony A7C if you're desperate to have full frame with something with some in-body stabilizers and a used lens. You could spend half that money, less than half that money, and have something that looks almost as good. Then you'd have thousands left over for audio and lighting. The second reason that I don't really like the way that this camera is marketed is that I think it really offers features that promote people not learn how to use their cameras or how to use their editing software very well. For example, it has a feature where the camera punches in and follows the subject around, right? That takes a little bit of time to learn in a video editing program, so that's a pretty neat feature. Also, there's a button on it that just creates instant bokeh. So if you want that blurry background, you click the button and away you go. But what happens when those features don't work, or you're trying to get that look, but the camera's not doing a good enough job? You're not gonna know what you're doing. You haven't progressed to the level where your skills would be at, that you know how to do that stuff manually. And I think that's a mistake, going from zero, from no camera to vlogging camera. I'm trying to understand who their audience is here, right? Because it's a very beginner focused camera. You just click a button, stand in front of it and start dancing. But people are going to hit a giant wall when they need to learn how to edit their videos properly. It offers 10-bit video. How sick is that? That's a sick feature. But do noobs who are using bokeh buttons and having the camera follow them around, are they gonna need 10-bit? Are they gonna do color grading? Come on. So I'm just left wondering who the audience is for this camera. It's almost what I need. I have the A7 IV, which is great, but it's a hybrid. I don't need a lot of the features. I never use the viewfinder. It's weather sealed. I barely take it outside. The idea of a smaller, more compact camera makes sense, but they've already got that in the smaller bodies, like the A6600. Sure, it's a crop size camera, or even the ZV-E10. Like, I don't understand. For me, the reason I went full frame is because I often shoot inside, and when I'm in dark rooms, you want that extra sensor size to pick up the extra detail. You can pretty much get similar bokeh when you're vlogging. You don't need full frame bokeh when you're vlogging. It's just weird. They're like, okay, what do people want? 10-bit color, full frame, vlogging? Sure, mash. I don't like the way that they're marketing this camera. And the third reason I think this camera is not gonna do very well is the timing. It's coming out too late. Now, the reason I say it came out too late is because usually people like me, we look for our deals around Black Friday and around Christmas. That's when the winter is coming and we're gonna need to treat ourselves to gear that we wanna learn over the seasons. So by the time this comes out in May, I already bought this in the fall. I'm not gonna change all my gear around and start right now. Today, you know what? This camera, I'm gonna start vlogging right now. I'm gonna get my first camera because of this. Everybody already has cameras. And I don't think this is good enough for people to sell what they have and go buy this new. If you could buy this used or something, but I mean, new, it's so much money. It's just too much money. Everybody already has what they need. It's not good enough that you need to jump ship. Go buy a used A7C. Go buy a A6400. Well, I guess you want body stabilization. Get the A6600 used. Learn your cameras. You don't need what this costs. I don't know, maybe you do. Do you want this camera? Are you gonna go out and get it? I'm not. I think it's a neat camera. It has some noob features that maybe they're pretty cool. It'll be neat to get my hands on it and play with it one day, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to do that. So I just wanted to share with you how I feel when I see this stuff. You know, right after I bought the A7 IV, the FX30 came out and Sony was like, hey, here's a great video focus camera. I'm like, that's me. And it has all these features. I'm like, well, that's a bit overkill for noobs, but it's not for me. But they market it for me. So it's interesting because this is saying vlogging at your full potential, and it shows people setting the camera down and doing things, which is like what I do. This is a talking headshot. Interesting words. I don't consider myself a vlogger. Yeah, all right. I'm just getting old and I'm getting ranty. What do you think? Let's chat about the camera in the comments below. Do you think it's sweet? Is it worth the money? I just don't know how anybody could recommend it for that price point. So that's it for me today. Thanks for all the support. Maybe check this video out next, or how about this one? We'll see you next time on the Sad Studio.